Walter Bale, 62, is standing by the window of his modestly furnished colonial house. He is holding a glass of wine and peering out through the drapes. After a few moments, an old car pulls up. A slightly overweight woman gets out of the car. She starts to walk up to the house. Walter steps back from the window and waits. The doorbell rings. Walter takes a last sip of wine and sets the glass down on the end table. And then he goes to the door and opens it. Mr. Bale.
Yes.
Hello, I'm Barbara Watson. Nice to meet you.
Oh, yes, come in.
Thank you. She steps into the house and Walter shuts the door. They both stand there awkwardly. Barbara is tightly wound and overcompensates with a forced pleasantness.
Could I take your coat?
No, thank you.
Okay. Would you like anything to drink?
No. Shall we get started?
Okay, okay.
Int. Walter's house piano room later. Walter and Barbara sit side by side in a very close proximity. Let's try it again.
The same thing?
Yes. Remember, fingers curve, like a tunnel.
Okay.
Walter starts to play the piano. It's a lesson in progress. They are sitting at a beautiful grand piano, but Walter is only a beginner. And not a very good beginner. Don't flatten. Walter keeps playing. Make room for the train. Walter stops.
What?
I said, make room for the train. It's something that I tell my kids. If you curve your fingers like this, she demonstrates, then the train can pass through the tunnel. She passes her pencil through her curved fingers. Walter looks at her for a long moment. Int. Walter's house day. Walter walks Barbara to the front door. He opens it and then hands Barbara some money. 3.
Here.
Thank you. Next Tuesday at the same time.
No, I don't think I'm going to continue with our lessons.
Oh, no. Are you giving up?
No.
Barbara gets the point. He is stopping with her, not the lessons. Oh, okay. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Barbara walks out the door and then turns before Walter shuts it. Mr. Bale, if I may ask, how many teachers have you had before me?
4.
Well, for what it's worth, it's difficult to learn an instrument at your age. Especially if you don't possess a natural gift for it. I'm not saying this to be mean, but if you do decide to give up, then I would really like to buy your piano. It's a beautiful instrument. Walter nods, not quite sure how to receive the comment. Goodbye. Barbara turns and leaves. Walter shuts the door. 4. Int. Connecticut College Lecture Hall Day. Walter stands before a half-empty class. He is wrapping up a lecture on economic theory. There is nothing inspiring about it.
East Asia's experience is really the exception to the rule, because the conditions there that made the trade liberalization for the Middle East successful weren't present in the developing countries in sub-Saharan Africa and in Central and South America.
Next, Connecticut College Campus Day. Walter walks across the campus. Int. Connecticut College Conference Room later. Walter sits in a meeting with 7 other colleagues. Int. Connecticut College Walter's office later. Walter is staring out the window in his simple but very lived-in office. Classical music plays softly in the background. A knock at the door.
Come in.
A student opens the door and enters. Hi. He sits down and sets a paper on the desk. Sorry it's late.
Why is it late?
I had some personal things to deal with. 5. Walter hands back the paper.
I'm sorry, I cannot accept this now.
But
I'm sorry.
Walter goes back to work. The student sits stunned for a moment and then gets up and picks up his paper. He opens the door and then stops. You know you still haven't given us a syllabus.
I know.
The student shakes his head and leaves without another word. Next, Walter's house, afternoon. Walter pulls into the driveway of his house. He gets out, grabs his belongings out of the back seat and walks inside. Int. Walter's house, kitchen, dusk. Walter is making dinner. Classical music plays from the other room. He adjusts the flame and covers a sauce pot. He leans against the counter and picks up a half-empty bottle of wine and pours some into his glass. He catches sight of a small framed picture of him and his wife smiling. Int. Walter's house, living room, later. Walter sits at the piano and practices. It is still going badly. The wine glass sits on top of the piano. He lifts his hand and inspects his tunnel. Int. Connecticut College, Walter's office day. Walter is at his computer. He pulls up his year syllabus on the computer and carefully changes 2005 to 2006. He saves it. His work is done. There is a knock at the door. 6.
Yes. Yes.
The door opens and Walter's colleague, Charles Van Horn, steps in. Hello, Walter.
Charles?
I'm sorry to interrupt.
That's okay.
Walter, Shelley can't make it down to the NYU conference to present your paper. I'm going to need you to cover for her.
Why can't she go?
She's been put on bed rest until she has the baby. Walter is caught off guard.
When?
Next week, we'll cover your class and make the arrangements.
I wish I could, but now is not a very good time, Charles.
I understand, but you co-authored the paper and the dean wants it presented. He wants to keep Shelley on track for tenure.
I just don't think I can, with the start of the classes and my book.
You're only teaching one class, Walter.
So I can stay focused on my writing. I'd really rather not go right now.
I'm sorry, but there really isn't another option at this point. Walter is trapped. He comes clean.
Charles, the truth is, this is really Shelley's paper. I just agreed to co-author it because she asked me to. I'm not really prepared to present it. Sorry.
That may be the case, but you are the co-author and she can't go. Look, Walter, you can take it up with the dean if you want, but as your friend, I wouldn't advise it. Not with that argument. Walter just stares him. Goodbye. And Charles is gone, shutting the door behind him. Int. New London, the Blind Tiger Bar, night. Walter sits at the end of a bar at a local pub. He is reading the newspaper. Karen, a 44-year-old bartender, is talking to a blonde-haired woman at other end of the bar. The wall is covered with hand-drawn caricatures of regular patrons. A waiter hands a plate of food to Karen. She walks down the bar and sets it in front of Walter. Here you go, cutie.
Oh, thanks.
So I thought you forgot about me. Where have you been hiding? Karen automatically refills his wine glass.
Oh, just busy with work.
Well, you're never gonna make it on the wall with that excuse. I'm glad you're back. Give a holler if you need anything. I'm just gabbing with one of my girlfriends.
Okay.
She walks back down the bar. Walter starts to eat. Next, Walter's house morning. 2 cars are parked in Walter's driveway. Int. Walter's house bedroom, same. Walter is packing, laying out his shirts on the bed. After a moment, Karen walks in, drying her hair with a towel. When are you going?
Today after class.
She takes her earrings of the nightstand and puts them in. Sounds like fun. I'm gonna go have a cigarette. You want some coffee?
Yeah, thanks. And that's it for now.